As you can see, then get it while you can, because this shirt's actually going to get taken off. I'm fighting with the wife. She's like, get one of these collections off. So this might be the one. So get it while you can. Now, let's get right into it. It's Joe Rogan, Gad Sad, and they're talking about Joe Rogan and his worry about the divide that's going on in the country. And it's a divide not just caused by politics, but the divide that was caused by the pandemic. And Joe very wisely says, what exactly the title of this video is, it was like a psychological test. And I very much do agree with that. And speaking of that, I got to bring you over to the store. If you are somebody who survived that grand old psychological test, this is your certificate of achievement. This right here. Get this right now. It is called the Certified Pure Blood T-shirt. There's a whole line. We have tank tops for men and women, T-shirts for men and women, and of course, the illustrious hoodie as well. And my personal favorite that just came out is Public Enemy number 1. Who is Public Enemy number 1, you might ask? The cricket connoisseur himself. You can get all these shirts, T-shirts, hoodies on IamCoachColin.com. And if you want 10% off of anything that you see on the site, put in the discount code area IamCoachColin. You don't have to give your email. You don't have to do any of that stuff that the other sites are making you do. None of that. You just get it. It's all capital letters, all one word, one L in the Colin. I am Coach Colin, and that gets you 10% off. And if you're someone who's already done that on our site, thank you so much. You have no idea how much we appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now let's get into this clip. Let's go.
I've literally, if someone does a content analysis of our conversation so far, they wouldn't know that I'm here. I've just sat and smiled at your beautiful face.
Oh, sweetie. That can't be true.
No, I can just look at the words I'm seeing on my recording. It's like 50-50 in the last 2 minutes.
It is not 50-50.
How dare you?
Okay. How dare you, sir?
You got a little testy there.
No,
I gotcha.
Not at all. I'm just having fun. So what else is up? What's going on
I don't know, man. I'm more
What's
worried
upsetting you? What's
than
making
ever.
you happy?
I'm more worried than ever about the cultural narratives. I'm more worried than ever about like the fucking divide in this country.
Yeah.
It seems so accelerated, whether it's climate change or Ukraine or whatever the subject du jour is.
Yeah.
Everyone's so stereotypically on one side or the other.
Have you lost any personal friendships because of ideological issues?
No, not real friendships.
Okay, good.
Maybe acquaintances.
Okay.
But that was okay. Those are good if you can clean those up.
Because
those
exactly.
are good. Yeah, you find out who's really your friend. You know, even people that I like vehemently disagreed with about certain policies that were in place during the pandemic.
Yeah.
They're still my friends.
Right.
We can have disagreements. I know who the core of you is. And people think about things differently. We're free to think about things differently. Some people are free to have a perspective that I don't agree with. It's like, and you might be able to back it up with some facts.
Yeah.
You might be able to, or you might be intolerant to the other opposition views because some of them are full of shit. Maybe that's true too. There's a lot going on, but it's very hard for people to, especially in times of crisis, like during the pandemic, you kind of found out how human beings are very malleable and very quick to pick a narrative that they support, and especially if that narrative offers a promise of going back to normal. You know, and that was what was weird about that. It was like, this is a psychological, like, test study. If you wanted to do a test study of how a population, even a supposedly free population, free thinking, freedom of expression, freedom of speech is literally in the doctrine that we run the law by. And to have people willing to throw that away quickly under something that wasn't even, we're not talking about a nuclear war, but we're talking about something that's like relatively in terms of the amount of people that die every year, it's not good. It certainly wasn't a good thing to happen to anybody.
99.7% survival rate.
Yeah. And yeah. I mean, again, it's not a good thing, right? It's not good to get any kind of cold, any kind of disease, any kind of like illness. It's not good. But there's a lot of shit that's killing people also. And there's almost no effort to stop that. Like, there's no effort to stop the comorbidities that caused a lot of the problems that a lot of those people that didn't survive had. There's no effort to stop that in terms of like what we understand about health and wellness and promoting that.
You're referring to obesity largely.
Yeah, not just obesity, but like malnutrition, vitamin deficiencies. Like so many people are eating, but they're malnourished.
Sure.
It's a giant portion of our population that is not getting the proper nutrients every day. And there's a host of diseases that come along with that.
Yeah.
And it's just not being discussed. I mean, it's not like the epidemic that it really is. It's not being discussed like the epidemic that it really is.
Do you think that a lot of the governmental policies that were instituted stem from the fog of war during the pandemic, and so it was driven by ignorance, or are you of the view that there is kind of a Dr. Evil, nefarious thing behind this whole thing?
I am very reluctant to go with the Dr. Evil narrative. I think there's certainly people that you would consider evil that will take advantage when things happen. But do I think that like they released the pandemic on purpose? No. There's like pretty clear evidence that people working in the lab got sick. And that those people spread it.
No, but let's say the ad hoc policies that they would come up with. You could only be 4 people on a boat. You can do this. You can't do that. My feeling is, I don't have any proof of it. It's just I'm speculating, is that a lot of it really came from the fog of war. People were, and I'm not trying to be charitable, but I think that most people were well-meaning. They didn't know what the hell they're talking about. They didn't exhibit any epistemic humility, right? They made it seem as though they knew what they're talking about, but they were trying their best. I don't think there was kind of this grand conspiracy where this is our chance to take over the freedoms that people still, adhere to.
I would be more inclined to believe with what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think it's many factors, and I think when we want to look at like why people did what they did, we try to look at it one way or another. But I think there's many, many things going on. And also, for sure, governments that are really good at crafting laws that allow them to gain power, and they've done that with all the bills that they passed after 9/11, the Patriot Act, the Patriot Act 2, the NDAA, all that crazy shit. Whenever something happens, they find new ways to control, and they do it because it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to pass laws that people were reluctant to pass before. It happens. Yeah, happens all the time. It's normal. That's their job. That's what they do. What they do is they're in control. They're in power. Like that's the game that they're playing. The game that you're playing is I want to keep my freedom.
Right.
And like we have to figure out a way to like establish like real clear rules to how this game works.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true. When Joe says that, it actually reminds me of something. I'm Christian. I go to church. Haven't been in a while. I have to get back to it. I've been so busy with everything, but I'm still in the Word. I'm still in prayer all the time. But something my pastor said one time, and I've said it to people in talks of addiction, like I'll frame it like, addiction, like when I'm talking with someone who has addiction, but that your addiction is going to creep up. So like, why not prepare? Like if you're going to a place where everybody is going to be drinking, smoking, doing drugs, why not prepare for that or stay away from the situation completely? But why not go into that letting everybody know, hey, I don't do that anymore. Don't offer it to me. I'm going to step a little back. I'm going to try and leave rooms that are filled with smoke. You let everybody know, you prepare yourself. And it's kind of the same thing with what Joe's talking about. Their game is to kind of gain control. It's to make things easier for themselves, more convenient, all the little excuses that they have in terms of the government, local government, higher government. So it's up to you to kind of be like, okay, this is my line. These are my freedoms. These are all my freedoms, and these are my lines towards each freedom. And if they cross those lines, then I should already have a plan prepared for what I'm going to do, Like, you should know. If they tried to take this from me, then I do this. I go to town hall and complain about this. I gather 400 people and we try to have a conversation with the local government or higher, whatever it may be. You should know what you're going to do already. I really do think that, you know. And when I was talking about like church, you know, pastor would talk about, you know, whatever religion you are, just apply that. You're spiritual, just apply whatever. But he would be like, the devil is going to do what the devil does. Like, the devil's not taking time off. So you should be prepared. You should already have your armor on. And in this context, he was talking about the word. You should be deep in the word, deep in prayer. You should have all of that ready because the devil's going to come, you know? It's kind of the same thing when it comes to the government. They're going to try and step, you know? You remember Chappelle's show talking about Rick James, habitual line stepper? They're habitual line steppers. They are. They've been habitual line steppers for a long time. So you know that they're going to step. So you should know exactly what you're going to do. You know, that is the game. It's very, very true. When it comes to the politicians and the people, that is the game. We keep our freedoms and we stay as free as we can, and they try to step. Little by little, they try and smile at us, say what we want to hear, and all this stuff. The thing is, when the past 4 years rolled around and everything happened, nobody had their lines, you know, and things got really crazy. But nobody had their lines in the sand of like, I'm not going to allow this. Like, everybody just had to kind of, you know, go by the seat of their pants. You know, it was really interesting. And if more people could have unified, not just in protest, but just as community on what they'll allow and what they won't allow, could have been a lot better off. Every state could have been like Florida, you know, because I think there was a majority of people who didn't want to go to Florida, but wanted to live like Florida, you know? And that could have happened if everybody kind of communicated, unified, and knew that that was a possibility. But a lot of people didn't even know that a mayor or a governor had this type of control, had ability to do these kind of things, shut down businesses. They didn't know. I didn't know. I had no idea that that was possible. Yeah. But what do you think? I want to know right away. You know, put that aside. I want to know, what do you think in terms of the nefarious or they just randomly did it? I think, honestly, it's a mix of both. Clearly, local government didn't know what they were doing. Clearly, 6 feet here, 2 people in this elevator, but this elevator, it's fine. You know, masks here, but none there. It was clear they didn't know what they were doing. And they weren't even communicating effectively altogether. Very, very clear. But I think there's a mix of it. I think it's some nefarious and some don't know what they're doing. And some are, I want to say, like, nefariously don't know what they're doing, but saw the opportunity. I think it's a mix. Some people were just like, I have to do a good job and I can't lose my job. So what's this guy doing? He's doing 6 feet? Okay. Yeah, we're doing 6 feet. What's this store doing? They're doing stickers on the ground? Oh, okay. We're doing stickers on the ground. Oh, arrows? Okay, let's do arrows. Like, I think some people didn't know what they were doing, but other people, and you saw this time and time again, you saw this with government and with people, they got a kick out of seeing someone not have a mask on correctly and, you know, being the person that gets to yell. I get to take out the fact that I can't work and that I'm scared of my financial situation. I get to take that out on this person over here. And now they're yelling at this person. They're walking up to this person, put this on, do this, do that. Some people got a kick out of that. Some people were waiting for that amount of control, you know, to exert that amount, to exert that authority. Some people were waiting for that, you know. I saw so much of that. I almost got into a fight with a guy. I remember I was like, and it was so bad. I think I've even talked about this story before. It got to the point where this guy was just talking, and I could tell he was caught up in the authority of things. And I stopped everything and I said, hey man, like, just so you know, we're both guys and you're bigger than I am, but we're both going to be outside of this place soon. So we can just deal with it then. How about that? We were in a grocery store. It was the weirdest thing. I was like, let's just deal with it then, okay? And then when we got outside, he was like, hey, listen, I just want to apologize. I was like, okay, cool. Like, just leave me alone, man. Like, I don't know you. It was weird. It was a weird time. I would love to know what you guys think of that. If there was nefarious doings or if people just didn't know what they were doing. I think there's levels. I think local people didn't know what they were doing, but I think if you go up levels, and then we go into the shadow government, I think they knew what they were doing. I think people on the lower end were just like really confused on what to do. I think it's a little bit of both, you know? That's why I like to play this clip, because I'm always open to hearing the people who feel like, no, there was nothing nefarious, there was nothing going on, there was no conspiracy. I love hearing that side of things because it's important to explore that part of things. You know, I always say, like, I would hate to live in a world where every conspiracy was true. Like every single thing you've heard is true. Like that's a scary world to be in. You know, it'd be nice if some of these things weren't true. You know, a lot of them have proved to be true, which, you know, do with that what you will. But, you know, it's always important to hear that side of things. I have a friend that we always have discussions. He's no conspiracies go on in his mind, but still he knows about all of them. And I love to hear his take on things. He just gives me like the straight goods of things, the facts, if you will. I like hearing that. And then I bring up, like, we had a conversation about 15-minute cities and he's just like, no conspiracy there. And I was like, hey, but what about this? And, you know, common ground. You got to be able to have those conversations. Really, really important. But let me know what you think. What do you think? Was it a psychological test? I think at the end of the day it was. Even if it wasn't meant to be, you know? Like sometimes you have a friendship and your friendship gets tested. You're not actually being like, okay, today's the day, March 2020, I am going to test my friends. You're not doing that. But when the test comes, you can see, you can feel and see like this is the test. We'll see what this person does. You know, you're not intentionally doing it, but I think there was a bit of a test there. And then some people say it was a very intentional test. Very intentional test, almost like a prep of sorts for things to come. I don't know. If I knew, I'd be one of them, you know? So I don't know. I'm just a person. I'm just public. But let me know what you think in the comments. Like the video if you haven't already. Like that video. It's somewhere around there. Subscribe if you haven't already. Go and get that shirt. This clip goes perfect with that shirt. Your certificate of achievement if you survived the biggest psychological experiment known to man so far. Other than that, I am out.